hard, but them still bear the pain. Lord get heavy, them a carry till them straight. Some good money, so them gone insane. Now them a come with them drugs and cocaine. See them want to do it all over and over again.
Yes, indeed. Of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. My apology for the tardiness of tonight's, let's say, commencement. But that being as it may, the fact of the matter is that we have a duty and responsibility, and we must, of course, pursue vigorously, without fail, in spite of the challenges that would circumscribe or would influence the commencement, as is the case tonight. Yes, the vehicle was given some trouble and so on, coming down the highway, speeding to get here. But we have arrived, should I say, safely, without much incident, to commit ourselves to this very, very important exercise in not just information dissemination, but to demonstrate practical and what I consider to be very, very critical operations, conduct, activities, attitudes that will take Trinidad and Tobago to the next level, the acceptable level, and to dismiss and forego those factors, those instances that will inhibit growth and development, peace, security, and prosperity for our people. And when I say our people, I'm referring to across the board, regardless of where you are physically, or should I say as far as address is concerned, yes, where your location is. And location here could be, of course, broken down into physical location, your address. It could be your profession as well, that location. It could be your educational pursuits, yes. And it could be, of course, your commitment to national development. But let me first acknowledge the fact that, and say congratulations to the C students, the over 17,000 of them that would have sat the C exam. Yes, indeed. I want to say to you, I want to say to the parents, I want to say to the teachers, I want to say to the education system itself, well done. I have not had any reports, particularly around here, of any untoward incident that would project some kind of abstract anxiety that some of the experts, if you want to call it that, who claim that the anxiety, particularly where politicians are concerned. Because, of course, the former Minister of Education, one incident of noted anxiety, and then, of course, that becomes the national norm. That level of what I consider to be intellectual and actual dishonesty has no place in contemporary Trinidad and Tobago as we move forward inexorably to move the country where it ought to be. The last administration, having done a decimation of that optimism. Let's go to the line and we take your calls immediately. At present, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
This is Diego Martin inside.
Yes, Diego Martin, go ahead, my friend.
Tonight, it is a T20 and I'm opening the batting.
I hear you.
I'm coming out swinging.
Go ahead, man.
I'm going after the opposition leader.
Good.
When she made a statement that my prime minister is childish and lazy.
Is what? Is what? She's what?
Childish and lazy.
Oh, it's childish and lazy. Yeah, I suppose these people see in others that which is in them. But go ahead.
Right. She made a statement with respect to our Prime Minister's posture on CARICOM. No. Mike Claback she's de-witted and she's dense. So giving some listeners to go and look up in the dictionary just as Joshua would do.
Yes.
Right? So that is she's, as I say, de-witted and dense.
And dense. All right, okay. Dense. All right. I hear you.
Our pastime in Trinidad and Tobago, a lot of us, is all fours, right?
Yes.
That's Trinidad pastime. No. One of the rules in all fours is trump and follow suit. And our Prime Minister is batting in the wicket with Trump. And that is why she has come down hard on CARICOM. So Trump and follow suit. We had somebody who they call it Father of the Nation. You remember what he did with the Federation before it became CARICOM? He said 1 from 10 leaves 0. State hell with the Federation and CARICOM members and Caribbean islands. Likewise, the rest of the Caribbean islands say to hell with Trinidad. They went and had a relationship with Maduro, with Carib, the Petro-Carib deal. They didn't want to buy our oil and things like that. So my Prime Minister wants to make Trinidad great again. So that is TTGA. That is our acronym. Make Trinidad great again. MTTGA. When she tell CARICOM, we going to cut our finances to you all. She tell CARICOM, your selection, Barnett, is not fit for purpose. She has disrespected me as the opposition leader when I wrote to CARICOM to find out what went on with that kidnapping, why other members was involved in it. CARICOM didn't address it. So why should she support CARICOM on that issue? Because they showed disrespect to our foreign minister Sobas when he went there. They did not allow him to participate in the selection of that Belizean. So I am batting with KPB, and just as Eric did, we're doing it too. 1 from 10 leaves 0. Tell CARICOM to take that in the pipe and smoke it. Have a nice evening.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you, my friend. And he songs irritated. He songs angry. He vexed. And why not? Because clearly comments as childish really and truly demonstrates at that level, of course, demonstrate a mentality or a dementia that only patients at St. Anne's exhibit. And naturally, because of their mental state, clearly, their mental, what I consider to be faculty deficiency or impairment, they will make statements like that. And I want to also, as the caller mentioned the opposition leader. The question was posed to her frontally. What is your position on the Jamet comment made by Dr. Rowley? And she went to France, she went to Italy, she went all across the globe, and is yet to answer the question frontally. As a woman, because she talked about the presentation of Vanilla and Allen in the parliament, when, of course, she correctly and factually presented the licentious and sexual exploitatory conduct of Rowley. And yet still she has not said, well, in my position, he ought not to say that. No, she's afraid of the internal backlash, because there are people in the PNM who love that kind of talk. And when you say that they are pedophiles and a corrupt group of individuals, they try to take offense to it. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Last night when the closing of your program,
yes,
where you mentioned about the other station or they will be able to access the sauna.
Yes, the television part of it, yeah.
Yes. Right, that would be real nice. So that's an extra platform now to spread the truth now.
That's right.
You understand? So that'll be good. So we must in the near future we must be like Tobago, must eliminate them clean.
Yeah, there's been a political history relegated. Yes.
If them propaganda be out of them, yeah. We ain't listen to them at all.
That's right.
You understand?
We can afford to have Trinidad and Tobago moving forward with its handbrakes up.
And get some. It has so much educated young people now.
Yes.
Let other people get chance to form new parties and new ideas, but get rid of them, clean out of this place.
Yeah. They have come full circle. They have lost their credibility. They have lost their vision. Their policies and programs is not in sync with making Trinidad the modernized, should I say, technologically advanced country. They say one thing, laptops and so on in schools, they take it away. Afterwards, they bring it back and say, just put it in labs, and then say that they never did what all of us knew our children did not benefit from for over 10 years. And we can go on and on in circumstances and situations and examples like that.
That former Prime Minister, right? To put it in a nutshell, he was an unfit person to be a Prime Minister. In the first place, he was unfit.
I want to tell you, go to the top of the class for that observation.
Disrespectful. He's a notorious liar. Notorious.
Yeah.
He has no statesman quality. You understand? He must be one of the worst leaders in the Western Hemisphere.
And as a person as well. As a person.
I can safely say that.
Yeah. Yeah. As a person, yeah. You know, character is about right and wrong, and the personality is about how people perceive you. Well, he has demonstrated that he has no character, and the personality that we perceive him to be is one that is so rambunctious, or so ugly, so despicable that you don't want, you have to loss for words. But go ahead.
I'm making my judgment based on the character, based on his contributions in the parliament, his interviews, and all them things. I don't make a judgment based on the personal life where I make an assumption on it.
Yes.
I talk about.
We leave that out. We leave that, even though, of course, he would bring it to if it becomes necessary to defend his WAP agenda.
Funny thing?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's the funny thing?
Uh-huh.
All along with this distasteful behavior and conduct of this individual, all along, display all these things on the record and videos and live streams and all the interviews and things. And these things in records, when the global community now, right, and other world leaders have been tapping into these kind of English-speaking countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they really get just at this kind of politics going on here. It distasteful, but you want to know what kind of thing is this?
Yes, I agree.
You understand?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just simply ludicrous, yeah.
But you know, now it's not like back in the 60s, right? No more, the world more information spending, you know,
yes,
within hours.
Yeah, within minutes, in fact. Yeah, minutes.
Yeah,
What we are talking here is across the world already. Yeah.
And sorry to say, you know, not when I relative and or nobody will say, hey, take it off now, boy. You know what going on? Like nobody can tell you nothing, right?
Well, of course, it is hypocrisy, it is Judas's, and it is ingratiation. In other words, humbling in order to get something that might fall off the table or some favor. And so the favor, you know, outmatches, the favor that is to be gotten outmatches the ability to say no, to say that this is wrong, to say that this is not right, and that you should mend your ways, etc. Nobody says that, because as far as they're concerned, it's food, is eat a food, yeah.
You know what the sickest one? The divers, the insanity divers.
Yes.
He said leave it up to the court. Let the court decide. The court is an independent institution. Leave up to the court to decide.
And the cabinet, the cabinet has no authority
before the general election. All of a sudden now, the same government who want to leave it up to the court to decide want to offer the family $1 million.
That's right. And
after
more than
after you spend $17 million on a commissioner inquiry.
Yeah. But
tell you,
but there's a pattern as well.
The kind of individual this person is, boy.
Yeah, and there's a pattern as well with that. It's consistent because when police officers were given $1 million if they died in the course of duty, he said that the cabinet has no authority so to do. But however, when one of his ministers, who eventually had to make his exit, talking about Daryl Smith, was in that scenario, he was very forgiving. He was very forgiving.
Boy,
yeah. But
boy, let me get somebody
else
a chance to make a contribution.
Yes, no problem. All right.
Man.
Yes, thanks very much, of course, for that intervention. Let me just say something with the mic off. Yes, I'm trying to get one of the students who sat the C exam today, because as I was saying, congratulations to all of them. I pray to God that you got your desired, when the results would have come out in the next couple of months, and that all is well. And I want to say, of course, as I was saying, the soothsayers, or those who want to throw fly in the wonderful ointment of the process and the young people, and of course trying to deflect attention because they themselves miss the office that has now been graduated to others because of their own incompetence, trying of course to tell us that the return of recognizing merit is not a good thing. That is what they're telling us. Recognizing merit, people who doing things better than most, if not all, that is a bad thing. Promoting, in other words, retrogression, and of course, and unmeritorious conduct. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night.
Right. They come out inside again. About
Yeah.
the old 20 overs, you know.
Go ahead, man. I have no problem with that.
Listen to this. We demonizing the lady Vanilla Allen.
Yeah.
God Allen. They are relatives. So they know everything inside out. So when the lady went in parliament, she was speaking about how
authoritatively experience, yes, an experience that she experienced. I don't know how Rowley got away with that nonsense, and the present opposition leader using that as some kind of despicable conduct when it was real. Go ahead.
This is the sort of evidence we have to put out in the public, because I think as some of them dense, you know, they don't understand is a relative talking about how her relative was abused.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were sisters or first cousin, but Allen and God Allen, this surname and the maiden name are the same, so it's a very close family.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Vanilla Topping said that they were close families. Yeah, closely related. All right. Yes, indeed. So I was making a point. Let me just conclude the whole question of the C exam. No, don't take on Dolly and the others. They seem to believe that somehow mediocrity will take Trinidad and Tobago far. So they reduced the 400 open scholarships to 100. Put that with some additional money for a bursary, which of course is a technical way of saying that you are recognizing or assisting persons who would want to go on to tertiary education. But the history has shown that when the PNM does that, they then further deepen or institutionalize mediocrity by selecting people that is connected one way or another to the PNM. That will not serve Trinidad and Tobago. Let's not waste time with that. And I'm glad, of course, to say that quite a lot of young people from this area, East Port of Spain, Laventil, Beetham, Silats, and so on and so forth. Yes, they were part of the 17,000 and counting candidates that would have sat the C exam. Congratulations once again. And if you didn't, from what you would have put in, believe that the results didn't do justice, well, there are mechanisms to treat with that. Call me. I will show you how to deal with it. Parents too. But if you know that you got just due or equitable, or should I say, a just outcome, then, but you are not satisfied, then of course you persevere further. There may be, because you missed classes, there's a concept that you may have not fully understood, all of that. Then there are opportunities, of course, in the secondary system or wherever you would be placed to, of course, excel. All right? So don't be too bothered because you have quite a lot of time ahead of you. All right? Yes, so all right, yeah, I'm trying to get the young lady who happens to be my goddaughter that sat the exam today. Of course, Joshua did not sit it today, but of course, He's 10 years of age, so he has until 13 years. Uh, yeah, so I try to get her on set. In the meantime, as we said, well, Philip liked to boast, as you see him there in the background, that of course he's the man who fixes it. But I don't mind a person fixing anything at all. Once, of course, it benefits the people that I am focused upon. So I didn't mind him today uh, delivering, which of course I will show you in the video in a while. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah, I tell you about it right too.
Yeah, man. Go ahead, man.
This is only the 10th over, and we still have
I hear you. You still have 10 more to go.
Right. The former Minister of Education,
Yes.
Garcia, a.k.a. Rip Van Winkle, a man who
Yes.
wanted to bring back slate technology into the school system, always sleeping on himself.
Yeah.
I want to basically congratulate all those people who are allowed to do this SEA exam and hope the best for all of them.
Yes.
Our beloved Prime Minister says secondary school for all. I was pleasantly surprised today listening to one of the senior lecturers in the University of the West Indies commented on the SEA exam, because apparently she has a kid writing the SEA.
Okay.
And what she admitted to, she doesn't like this one exam to determine the future of the child. And she juxtaposed it to what happens at UE. At UE, you have a final exam, but throughout the course, you have continuous components,
examination, yeah.
Right. So you have a lesser
And testing, yeah.
final exam.
Yeah.
And what I remember, Rick Van Winkle, a.k.a. Garcia, stopped the continuous component of SEA, the CAC component that was so successful during the 2010 to 2015. I understood that. My kids were part of that, and I enjoyed it because it encourages bonding with the parents and the students. It was a new criteria for the children, and you had to basically sit with them and help them move along. That accounted for 25% of your overall SCA result. So it gave you, if you did it diligently, to give you at least a 20% to go into the exam. And we had a backward PNM government collapse that program. So we are 10, 15 years behind the curveball. So that is where Bundles and Associate doesn't understand what is education, giving everybody a fair chance of succeeding.
Yes.
Have a nice night.
Thanks very much. And when you look at some of the systems like the Japanese and some of the Scandinavian countries, you will see how teachers in the system are treated one, but of course the curriculum is such that has the level of elasticity to accommodate the what I consider to be the deficiencies, if you want to call that, of every single child, because we know that children learn at different pace. We know that is part of the psychology, and teachers would have been exposed to that in their training, in the training environment to which they would have been exposed, and eventually graduate to enter the system where they actually function. So that is known. And I have always said as well, very long time ago, even when I left school many moons ago, that I cannot understand why 3 hours must determine the outcome of 5 years. I had a difficulty there. And I remember I did English literature, and the books that we were supposed to study was at the time for that year, talking about GCE here, King Henry V and Thomas, yes, and Thomas Hardy far from the madding crowd. Remember that? And in King Henry V, of course, the prologue, for a muse of fire that would have ascended the highest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, as Shakespeare tried to woo his audience to imagine, because the globe, small stage at the time, was unfit to accommodate such an epic part of the history of the British and French. And therefore he was appealing, and you have all of that. I'm saying that, I'm regurgitating that to say even then, but guess what? Going into the exam room, paid no attention to the fact that the exam was split into two parts. More than that, that I should do 2 questions from each of the 2 parts. And I not reading, but because I'm so enthused and so knowledgeable and so saturated with the fact that I know the thing inside out, I stood there and did all of the questions in the first part. And by the time I got to the second part, I recognized, well, listen, I only had to do 2 questions in the first part, and now I have to do 2 questions in the second part. The 3 hours was over, and guess what? I failed. And after that, I realized that listen, I know that I know the thing inside out. How the hell? And when I looked at it, it's because on the day itself, I failed to read the instructions. And on that basis, I failed that particular exam. Come across here now and sit down here. Let me just ask you something. I'll get the thing just now. We have a student here right from East Port of Spain. Let me make sure you're on. Right, good. All right. She did the exam today. She happened to be my goddaughter, yes. Come a little closer to me, let me see. So, right, so I'll get your full face here, right. Right, so she's here. So I just want to ask her a few questions, and then of course she'll go. She come over here. She come over here because exam is over, and I made a promise. So I have to keep my promise. But exam is over. All right. So, tell me, how was it today, first and foremost, and give your name first. Oh gosh, we have to give you a mic, boy. I wonder if this mic working. Sorry. Right, good. Let me see what's happening here. Yeah. Right. So give your name, and then, of course, say what school you attended.
My name is Destiny, and I attend Eastern Girls Government Primary School.
Right, Eastern Girls Government Primary. Right, and you did exam today?
Yes.
The exam? Yes. Tell me how, in your view, how it was?
It was easy.
It was easy? Mm-hmm. Right, because Joshua was on radio today saying he believed it would be hard, but of course he wasn't taking the exam. It was easy. All right, okay. So you expect, of course, to do well, and means that you would satisfy the choice, the first choice and the second choice or the third choice that you would have chosen in terms of school. You think so?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Tell me what you remember about the exam itself. What are some of the let's say questions that you would have remembered from the exam, and how you you remember any at all? Because you're blank off. After that, you're blank off. All right, but it was easy.
Yeah,
all right.
All
right. Okay. Right. All right. What your friends and them were saying after? Were they of a similar view?
They were saying it easy. They'd say section 3 maths was hard, but I found it was easy.
Oh, section 3 maths. So you see, so you remember in parts of it now that are actually questioned in a different way. Nice. Very, very good. And so what is now next? You're still going to school? What is happening? Because the ministry say let the children continue to go to school.
I go to school.
Tomorrow.
I'm not going tomorrow.
But when school reopens
Yeah.
after the Easter holiday. All right, okay. And what you're going to do now that that period of keen and constant and miss and sir and the school saying get on to work and focus on your books and so on. What you going to do for the holidays?
I'm gonna, my teacher going to teach you work, some form on work, and I'm gonna get ready for graduation.
Oh, ready for graduation, and then they're preparing you for Form 1. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Joshua, I see you looking in the back here. What do you want to say? Huh? You want to make any comment? Okay, all right. Well, he wants to do it on his own because at any rate, we have only room for 2. Right? All right. Let me. I made a promise, so let me do it. Let me give it to you one time. I'm not going to say on air what it is, but let me just make sure that I have it here. Don't make anybody see. Right?
Thank you.
Okay. Right. And wonderful, wonderful. Tell mommy and they say hello and good luck. All right. Yeah. Okay then. Oh, Destiny, yeah, Destiny is her name. Yes. So that was Destiny, people who, of course, attends. She still attends the Eastern Girls School in Port of Spain, primary school, and of course did the exam today. She said that it was easy. Well, Joshua assumed it might have been difficult. So we'll see who is right, because the proof of the pudding is what? In the results. That being as it may, people, of course, I'm a stickler for delivery. Joshua is coming in now, so let me just pause that before, and let me hear what he has to say. All right, good. Yeah, well, you didn't do exam, but you had a notion on 91.1 this morning, Talk City, where the ground report is housed from 6 to 9. If for those of you who don't know, and you just joining the program, so tell me, Destiny says that it was easy, and she said that I think part 2 maths. Some of her friends said it was difficult, but she found it easy. What's your view? You change your view on what you said earlier, or you maintain what you said, that it might have been difficult?
I still, because
You still what? You still maintain your position? Okay, right. Go ahead.
sometimes she say something, and after this is the next thing.
Oh, I see. Some people at times they say one thing, and then next thing is a different thing.
It makes you look bad, boy.
Yeah, I understand.
She'll do that.
Okay, well, not just this individual, but people in general. You have that kind of situation as well. I see it regularly when people have a fixation for the lotto. When the lotto played, the national lottery games are played. I on a Friday night, and I dancing away, and bram, around 7 o'clock, I see everybody fixed to the television. But I wondered why in the first instance, why, how everybody stopped and I alone dancing. It's because they're looking to see what play. And then when the exercise is complete, that is to say the numbers come forth. See some people saying, yes, I get it. Others saying, I should have played that. And I get it capiche, and so on. And I always was doubtful as to whether or not they were sincere. But I just want to maybe save face by saying, well, you can have it or not. So, according to Joshua, what they may be saying is not really what the reality is. I thought I should bring that as the example. That came to my mind. Yes. Anything else that you want to share with the public? We have, of course, this new program from 5:30 where you will be hosting with some of your friends.
So I was going to say, you can't have a show without the other host.
You can have a show without the other host, meaning that, well, your other friends, yes? What happened there?
I am the other host.
Oh, you mean tonight? Yes, no.
and other night.
That because you see how bright these children are? Because his name is on the on the notice of who are the hosts, Lennox and Joshua. He believed he should stay here. No, we have a show for adults, let me put it that way, essentially from 7 to 8. As we move forward from next week, we'll try to roll out that. And Joshua will have his segment, his show, from 5 to 8. So young people, look out for that. It's in time for you to go to prepare yourself to go to bed and so on. And well, school is out, so you don't have that problem. But make sure and watch Joshua as he, of course, brings across to you on the corridor transformation, the children's or the kids' corner. We'll call it the children's corner on the corridor transformation. All about attempting to edify
Okay,
and
bye-bye.
just let me hear what somebody might want to talk to you. So let's hear. Pleasant good night.
A pleasant good night to you, Uncle Lennox and cousin Joshua.
All right. Yes.
Hey, cousin. Hey, Daniel. Let me ask you something, Daniel. You like our address today?
No,
No, he didn't.
Why? Why you didn't write our address today?
because I'm not the age to do it yet.
How old is? Actually on national TV. How old is?
I am 10 years old of age.
10 years?
Yeah, you said yes. Everybody said that he should have been writing the exam because of his size. A tall fella, huge, but poor in numbers in terms of his age.
No, Joshua, not because you're big and tall, right? And you're young in age. You could not write the exam because here what's going on. If you take up them book practice tests and you push yourself and you learn it because the math, you see, your daddy next door to you, he don't know how to talk English, but he don't know mathematics. So you have to learn arithmetic. And when you learn arithmetic, guys, the hardest part of common entrance. Because when they give you how to state the problem, where to solve, they have you thinking for 5 minutes. But when you know maths, as long as you see it, you'll know how to solve it. And then you can take from your daddy the English part, and you see the comprehension. When you write a topic, you see like how tonight you're going to be hosting from next week, please God, and talking, that can be an essay, you can write it and you put your abbreviations, your knobs and everything in points and what quotation mark, open, close, full stop, and you learn that from your daddy. And then the rest is easy. But you know what will get frightening? If you go sit down on front of the camera and talk to everybody, try just like if in the exam room, but try it. You cannot try it before the time.
Well, boy,
I
I love your advice. But
anyway,
the thing about it is the school is saying that it's from 11. Right? So
yes.
we can talk out there what you want. We can say you're ready. You can say that he's fit for purpose and will do well. But the fact is that there is 11 to about 13. The children will have to be exposed. But go ahead. I just thought I should make that intervention. The school is saying no.
That was the next thing I was coming out here because the age group and the rules.
Yes.
They put it at that age.
Yeah.
Because they say when they're at this young age, it's too much stress on them. So,
right. But yet still, the former minister is talking about another type of stress, maybe additional stress, or looking for sympathy, hoping that the people will gravitate to that area because putting stress on parents and so on, and do graduate them who first, second, and third, and so on, but say everybody pass and go. You are promoting, of course, mediocrity, and the PNM cannot understand that for the life of it. And Trinidad and Tobago will not be better if you do not have competition in order to make certain that the best emerges in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago. But go ahead.
No, there's nothing I'll say before because I hear Joshua going to sleep and I'll now join you. And welcome back. I'll give you the opening remarks on it when Joshua start the camera.
All right.
But I don't want to keep him.
All right.
So I just call to him a little bit.
All right.
So I'll call back in a little while.
No problem. No
Good
problem.
night.
All right.
Yeah, everybody.
Joshua, any parting words? Any parting words?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you very much, of course, and love you. Yes, indeed. Yes, people. Well, let me get back to that video that you see paused there in the background. Yes, indeed. Well, let me just explain it before we play it. That occurred today. Of course, that was a consequence of just 3 visits in rapid succession by Minister in the Ministry of Housing, Philip Alexander, on my request, or responding to my request for urgent action to be taken on raw sewer material running on the surface of the courtyard, or in the courtyard of one of the, well, 2 of the apartment high-rise on Nelson Street. Nelson Street, yes, Nelson Street, people. Came, quick succession, AGC and other technical persons came, civil engineering and so on, from a civil engineering perspective and from of course a WASA perspective, came, they saw, they evaluated, and today trucks rolled in. Huge trucks, monstrous. I mean, they were monolithic, they were huge, and they made the roadway look small, and they could have almost reached the top of some of the buildings. First, they were huge, and of course, WASA workers rolled it, and they started to work, and the matter was resolved in a very short space of time. I think they have some mopping up work to do and so on, because one of the machines, I think, went bad, and they had to wait for repairs, so this took a little more time. What was very conspicuous is that the amount of police and security accompanied that exercise, and that is something that I will take note of, because that is something we are trying to avoid for the benefit of the community, whether it be utility entities or whether it be delivery vehicles. They should not be accompanied by police escort. That's a serious indictment. Police could be deployed elsewhere, because the utility, as is the case of WASA today, would have been there to solve a potential health problem that was lingering there for years under. In fact, it has caused the last 10 years. A parliamentary representative who say he loved the community, are talking about Scotland, right not too far, stone's throw away, never saw it fit. Even though the matter would have been brought to his attention, he cannot say. But I'll tell you why they pay total neglect to the East Port of Spain, Beetham, Sealets and so on, but in particular East Port of Spain. I'll tell you why. Let's cut the chase. Let's go straight to the jugular. The reason is very simple. That matter was lingering there for more than 10 years. And why is the raw sewer raised to the surface and therefore children playing may accidentally, somebody walking may accidentally take up what germs that are there and carry it in a house, and you never could tell what could happen. Flies can land on the feces there and then, of course, try to consume on a plate of food that is being consumed by anybody, whether child, adult, etc. That is what we are looking at. I am going to talk about that in another context. I don't want to lose sight of the Nelson Street scenario. Then there was also, or is also, a burnt out building, again over 10 years old. But the integrity of the structure over the period and exposed to the elements, to the weather, rain, yes, wind, sun, would mean that it doesn't have, of course, a covering, or it doesn't have a roof. So the raw concrete is exposed and having already been weakened by the fire itself, by the heat of the fire, many years ago. The potential for that building crumbling and the possibility that it may happen at a time when the children are in the courtyard playing as children would do, is real. And so when I was asked to visit and I saw what was the state of affairs there, I could not, in all conscience, leave it alone. I don't know how people like Scotland and them sleep in the night, knowing that things like that is in their constituency. And it's all over. Not just there, but that is just the microcosm, because as I said, and as you will see in this video, we will tackle it one by one, two by two, simultaneously, to improve and to ameliorate the physical conditions under which these communities exist. They will not have the same problems, but there are problems that are much more urgent than others. You cannot tell me that feces running in the road, feces running in the yard of these facilities, that flies can carry diseases such as dysentery, typhoid, and so on. And the mere fact that the hygienic conditions have been compromised. You cannot tell me that you would want that for your children, Scotland. You can't tell me that. And forget the old talk about bicycle and what, and he will have a coal pot and he go roast breadfruit and so on. But wearing jacket and tie right through, and of course riding in air condition, comfort. To project a falsehood, to project a fake premise, as if people are fools. But I know that nobody believes them. My difficulty is, however, that the people who are supposed to have them be their, have him be their representative, will go like lamb to the slaughter, like suckers for punishment, to vote for that. You must know it's 10 years. And whether he's there for 5 whether it's there for a portion of the 10, whatever portion, or the whole, you cannot tell me in good conscience, man, that even if for one reason or another other than merit, because the people like the PNM and they are so-called diehards, and you are able, of course, to brainwash them and condition them to the point where they are prepared to commit suicide in the way that I've just described. I think for Scotland Day, it is unconscionable. Let me just take this call. Unconscionable, barbaric, evil. A pleasant good night, welcome.
Good night, Dr. Lennox.
Pleasant good night to you as well.
Long time I haven't touched base with you, man.
Yeah, well, long time I have not been able to create the base on which or from which we can touch. So now that the base is here, I'm sure that touching is a foregone conclusion. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I'll be watching the ground report. I don't really call in,
Okay.
I'll be watching the ground report and breaking down with my boy Stefan Rees.
Right, very good, man. That's the place to be.
But before I make my contribution,
Uh-huh.
I want to ask you this.
Go ahead.
Now, you remember just before the January election,
Mm-hmm.
this man, this former man, I don't even like to call his name, right? He had made a promise for 100 million for the distress.
Yes.
Areas. You know what became of that 100 million? I never came out.
To me, it never existed, and in whatever form it did, because I mean, all of us in East Port of Spain and Lavington and so on would know that they developed a sort of night football fiesta, if you want to call it that, where of course people go and drink, frolic and so on, and hoping that they could drown the realities of these areas by spending the money there. That's the only semblance, that's the only indication that I saw that some kind of funds would have been spent. But of course that is minuscule compared to the amount of money that was promised. So if there was allocations, it went of course in electioneering. But go ahead. Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying, right? But I was listening to a program and I got really angry. One was on heavy and Welsh. Welsh program. I think that is from 6 to 8.
Okay. Yes.
Right. Heavy duty and Welsh.
Yes.
And I call in because the Welsh was trying to advocate the Zoso bill, and apparently is a PNM sycophant. He was asking them if that they are on dangerous grounds because that is a form of apartheid. That is a form of apartheid. That's what this guy was saying, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I was telling myself, well, this man is really serious, because I know in Jamaica they have a high rate, it is very successful there. And Jamaica is predominantly people of African descent. Where is he getting with that? Right?
Yeah.
The Zoso bill is very successful in Jamaica. So what he's trying to imply there that is appetite. I don't understand what he was trying to say.
Well, let me tell you specifically, because of the experience that I would have had. There is a tendency of the PNM to invent catchphrases that appeals to the emotions, not to the rational mind, to the emotions, and then the intent is to have the consequence of that is an irrational, should I say, dangerous response. Take for instance, when it would not have been Rowley would not have been getting any set of traction of what he said if he didn't mention Jamet, for example. That's a good example. to make you understand how they operate. But believing that the people are fools and that they will gravitate to those catch phrases that appeals to the emotions, and that therefore rationality and common sense and intellectual analysis is thrown out the window, hoping that they could use that to get into government, or put another way, improve their electoral let's say opportunity. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then the other one is Penny and Stuart Young considering the refinery with patriotic. They are asking how much that will cost the taxpayers. And I got so blasted when I heard that. I said, these people are them serious? Are they serious? But the refinery should not have been closed in the first place. So any money that we spend now is wasted money, because that should never have been closed. So these people should be hushing them out and keep it closed.
Partners, go to the top of the class. Is no different to when the new government comes into office, finding very little or no real cash flow, to be more specific, and then say that somehow the government had no money, and then attempting to exit or to absolve themselves from the fact that the government don't have any money. Yes, that is what they do.
Yeah.
If you only tell them, but it's you who caused that, they will say, well, listen, we not in office now. Some kind of nebulous, simplistic, unrealistic, incongruent, should I say, excuse for that kind of statement. They ought not to make the statement in the first place, but they make it anyway because, as I said, of the emotion that it will engender, and that is the intent, that to improve their electoral possibility. I have another call coming on. I don't know.
And the last point, which will be very quickly. They send a freedom of information to find out about what's due qualification and salary.
Yes.
And boy, oh boy, they did fall flat on their face. Because man and wife collected $70,000 a month. And Jack, the same thing.
Yeah. Jack, the man, the financial, the financial secretary under the PNF, yes, in Tobago, yeah.
So I think they're sorry now that they ask for that kind of information.
Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah, and we'll get some more of that. You'll see moving forward. But let me go to the line. Thanks very much. Okay. Sorry about that, Mr. Faisabad, but go ahead.
Good night to each and every one.
Yes, man.
All in sundry.
Yes.
Please share the life. Tell them that Joshua will be from 7 to 8 and Uncle Lennox from 8 till we finish with him at 12 in the night. And don't be late.
Yeah, you my
come
friend.
Here, young, dynamic,
you want to kill me?
Speaker.
You want to kill?
Called Joshua.
You want to kill us with work?
No, we wouldn't kill you, Uncle Lennox. We will just suck you dry.
Walk no dead, you know. His man that's dead. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, Uncle Lennox.
Yeah.
You see that picture just on your shoulder?
Yes.
What a lovely picture.
Yeah.
First time I see you have a lovely background after how much years? At least I can watch them two men in the back there.
Yeah.
With some pride. Now, I want to ask Camille Robertson Regis.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
In the last 10 months gone, if she alone was in the Ministry of Housing, and she alone was in charge, and where Penelope Beckles was, if she was in the same ministry or next ministry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I hear she talking that she was the only one minister in the Housing Development Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And she boasted that she was very expedient. So tonight I want to ask you, then since you are so expedient in your duty, Pastor Cummins' wife and daughter and the dog, it added up to be $500 million. I want you, Camille Robinson Regis, to answer the process of the procurement office and how those contracts was awarded and what board approval and parliament and cabinet approval and who it was dispersed. That is one. I have the question to answer. And Uncle Lennox.
Yes.
You see that video where all walk through the place?
Yeah.
On the ground report. Instead of Andy run the ground report code back, run them video on them. And I want to ask Camille and Noel Garcia, right?
Mm-hmm.
How it is those people, the PNM supporters, in the heart and the artery of the PNM supporters, why it looking so dilapidated and stink?
Yeah, boy.
Why does these citizens being treated worse than people in Bombay, India, in the slum? Because Bombay, India is the capital of India, and it's a slum. But yet still it's cleaner than there in Blabantil. And you telling me the PNM propagandist Marvin Gonzalez, you want to, people, you feel they want to vote all the back into some of them like that? Eh? For 10 years already, I look at all these people. Them is citizens, them is human. Even dog and kennel have a right to be clean and washed and fed. Uncle Lennox, I don't want to cuss on your program.
It is not permissible. Yeah, go ahead. You can control. I know you can control that.
Yeah, but thank God Joshua coming to take trade now. I'm trying to cheer him up so that he will lost his cool. Because he gave Joshua and I talking on this program and he lost his cool. Then Satan will have to run from Trinidad. Because this is the thing. I want to see the ground report a little more. This is the program to show and ask Penny. Because Penny confessed to her. Penny started to confess that she's not fit, she's senile, and she has no direction in running this country.
Yeah.
Because everything she fights for so far is for the criminal elements. But you see, the 12 diamond, the boat we had, you see how we fixed it back up?
Mm-hmm.
And you see how we had diesel now for the boat and them to run? Have a pleasant good night, Uncle Lennox.
Safety, my friend.
This is what we have to promote a little more.
I hear you, my friend. Yeah, we will do that. I just want to make sure that we have things at a particular level before, of course, we do the promotion and make people know that we are back. We are back on. I am not afraid or in any way fazed by either competition or by the fact that we had to make certain adjustments, and that more importantly, we had to start from zero. You see, because as I've always said, the longest journey begins with a single step, according to Confucius. Yes, and indeed, as I said on the ground report, the race is not for the swiftest, it's who can endure to the end. So we put the building blocks towards sustainability. But of course, I know that I started a bit late, about 10 minutes later, so I will go beyond 9:30 tonight because I still have that video in the background to share with you. So let's go straight to that now, because I mean we are nearing the end of the. We are nearing. Oh boy, what's happening here? Lost it because I'm taking it straight off of straight off of YouTube. Sorry, straight off of.
Today was a busy day. We had a lot of work going on in many places, but when
Right. So this is a follow-up video. Today was a busy day. We had a lot of work going on in many places. But when I got word from my team that the premises team, the property team were here together with Wassa, we had to come. And I called Lennox, who was in Chaguanas. I said, Lennox, we're going on the side. Come up. I can't believe how fast Lennox making it. Lennox, how do you feel seeing all of this?
Oh my, I mean, this is music to my ears and my eyes as well. So I don't know if you could see music, but in this case, I see music. And I want to say to you, Minister, and of course the government and the Prime Minister, I mean, the community couldn't be. That's
no, the residents clapping.
Oh, well, I would expect that. I mean, appreciation.
When you walk around to talk to them, because now, they have to realize, this is not a Mamanda place.
Of course.
I said just on the other video.
Right.
So the people who want to come on the channel and say, oh, this is PLM constituency, they vote for us, don't talk that foolishness. Don't let Kamala hear you saying that. Kamala Prasad Bissessa reminds us that we are the government for the entire country of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why we're making this much effort here to prove that point. Yeah?
And I want to say finally that we are going to be ubiquitous. You know what I mean? We will be omnipresent. You know what I mean? We'll be all over the east-west corridor. And this is just the beginning of many more. We're going to Malik. We're going to Mova. We're going to Silux. We're going to Beaton. Yes. We're going to John.
This is when we say Philip will fix it, and when UNC wins, everybody wins.
This is what we are talking about. My friend, thank you very much.
Yes, people, of course. You know, I can't help but...
right, so this is a...
I can't help, of course, being extremely elated, being satisfied, being consumed with what? Not just enthusiasm, but with tenaciousness, with a determination. Because you see, that could have been done years ago. You just have to have the political will, but more importantly, the passion to solve the problems of the people. I mean, it's raw sewer. As Andy would say, it's tutu. Juxtaposed next door to people, kitchen and dining room. Yeah. So you could imagine the health hazard. And people may well be, unless of course they take extra precautions to avoid being infected, because they are conscious that that thing exists next to them, and they therefore put mechanisms in place to avoid flies or to prevent flies from coming into their homes and onto their food. That is what we are talking about here. And whether it be Penny, whether it be Scotland and so on, there is no excuse for that taking so long to be addressed. If you talk to the people, they will tell you it's years. And in different parts, as the clog within the sewer system that is underground, some of which may have caved in, some of it, the pressure is such that the PVC pipes may have collapsed or burst or sever or loose one from the other and create, of course, leakage, further worsening the problem for others. Because remember, it's human beings flushing. They have to use the toilets to flush. As they intake, they have to, of course, let out. And what they let out, of course, is feces. that is supposed to be taken care of by a sewer system to ensure that it is removed from human presence. I want to be as graphic as possible so you understand the gravity of the problem. And don't take it lightly at the nonsense that they are saying that this is P&M constituency. Are you satisfied with that? East Port of Spain, Beetham, Sealats, and so on? Because you too have had the most horrendous experience of broken culvert, and you have to dance around and walk gingerly. Open drains, whether it's on the Beetham, whether it's in Sealats, and a tardiness in terms of response and remedy has been so, I want to use the word culturalized, in the sense of delinquency. That become a culture. Leave them there. Who tell them to go and live there? Not recognizing that this is Port of Spain, the main thoroughfare of the country, the capital city, and the place of commerce, and where the seat of power exists. The Red House is not a joke. The Hall of Justice is not a joke. And the various monuments of a national symbolic nature are deposited and fixed here in Port of Spain. You know what visitors will say if they were to come across on the eastern side of Port of Spain, about Nelson Street is about 4 streets from Abercrombie Street, where the Red House is. Let me check it. 1, we have Abercrombie Street. So the streets from there. So the next street is coming east. It's Frederick Street. Then the next street is Henry Street. Then the next street is Charlotte Street. Then the next street is George Street. Then the next street, Nelson Street. Understand? Heading east, walking east. Let's go it again. So let's leave out Abercrombie Street where the Red House is. The next street, Frederick Street, the main street in the town. Then you cross Henry Street, heading east. Then you cross Charlotte Street, heading east. And then George Street, heading east. And the next street, the 5th street, from Abercrombie Street, where the Red House is Nelson Street. People won't tell you it as graphic as possible to demonstrate the level of embarrassment that Ross Sewer, not too far from the Red House, and indeed the Hall of Justice, major institutions, physical and of course human. You have a street that is 5 or 4 streets away from Abercrombie Street, where these major institutions exist, and the upper echelons of decision making and so on. I mean, the diplomatic center is top of Charlotte Street, and quite a distance away. So I cannot bring that into the discussion, into the cadre, into the basket, into the geographic space. But certainly the Red House, Hall of Justice, and as a practicing attorney, Scotland allow that thing to fester. He located, guess what? One street away from Nelson Street. I want to leave out, I want to leave out a particular street because it's short and go straight to Piccadilly Street, crossing the Dry River. You will find Scotland's office. So it's easy walking distance, in other words. And yet still, 10 years. But let me tell you, in East Port of Spain, Laventil, Beetham, Silets, the whole world and the country, as to the real reason why the PNM deliberately would have left that like that. Because they have no excuse. You ask them if they leave it deliberately, they will not be able to answer. You ask them if it's because people did not bring it to their attention, they can't answer because you have the city council that is a stone's throw away on Frederick Street, even closer to Nelson Street. Yeah, in the same generic geographic space. Can't answer. So they resort to what? This is PNM constituency. My foot. What does that mean? It means that the people must suffer. It means that the people must be disrespected. It means that the people must experience pain, ache, agony, stress, and strain because that is PNM. When I say to them, this video demonstrates that there is an alternative. And the alternative is that you put people like yours truly, our party, Love, that is part of the coalition of interests, that will be contesting, of course, the local government elections whenever it is called next year. And we must get in charge of the Port of Spain Corporation, because between the Port of Spain Corporation, AGC, and a working parliamentary representative, you ought not over the years to have been exposed to that level of unhygienic and potential diseases. And who knows, you may have suffered and maybe unconsciously, because the health center is right around the corner on George Street. So you may have. But let me tell you the real reason why they would have left it like that all this time. It's because they want to get rid of you. Let me repeat. It's because they want to get rid of you. So they create, of course, the most dastard, the most inhumane, the most unwholesome, the most unhygienic the most conditioned to project stress and conflict because they're densely populated area. Children, of course, would have born into families that originally were started with in a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom apartment. And now you have about 4, 5, 6, 7 of them there, densely populated. And where human beings, of course, interact in inhospitable conditions, conflict arises on a regular basis. So their agenda, the PNM's agenda, was to displace you. And when we fought them, I and Hazel Smith and others fought them in 2005 when Rowley was the Minister of Housing. Stopped them from bulldozing, according to Rowley, the entire geographic space that would have included, of course, Nelson Street, George Street, Duncan Street, etc., and Piccadilly Street. And don't tell me I know what I'm talking about, because I will carry you and show you on this program where properties were bought out many, many moons ago for compulsory, through the process of compulsory acquisition and people's monies, many of whom they couldn't find because many of the owners either migrated or could not be found, and they put it in some kind of escrow account that is there. Once the bona fide person comes and make a claim, they will get the money, valuate it themselves, and put the money in the bank, and then of course claim it. Many of these buildings are supposed to be torn down because they were bought out already. Let me tell you something. Chimuk is one of them. For clarity and for Chimuk is one of them. Chimuk is there on borrowed time, but he has already been paid for that. And all those buildings around the Riverside Plaza and at the back of and the eastern side of the Besson Street police station, all of them were bought out. Understand? So you who was made to live in that filth, an agency right down the road that will not under the PNM come to effect any repairs because it's human beings living there, even though your agenda is to get rid of them. But whether that is so or not, the fact is that it's human beings, and you ought to be sufficiently humane to effect repairs until you meet your agenda, pernicious, evil, and wicked, diabolical, and of course barbaric as it is. So only play stupid. A local election coming up. Don't get rid of them from the Port of Spain Corporation. And talk about friend and our custom voting so. And that you always have to have an opposition to try to, of course, justify people who feel, and leave them in office, people who feel that they have a psychological hold on you, and then go home in their comfort and laugh and say, what's the next lie and deception I could make to hoodwink, deceive, gaslight with their multiple cock and bull stories. Cock and bull stories. Let's go back to the video before I make my departure. Okay, again, he doesn't want to say where it is, but this is on yes, this is on Facebook. So
today was a busy day. We had a lot of work going on in many places, but when I got the word from my team that the premises team, the property team were here together with WASA, we had to come. And I called Lennox, who was in Chaguanas. I said, Lennox, you're going on the side. Come up. I can't believe how fast Lennox making it. Lennox, how do you feel seeing all of this?
Oh my, I mean, this is music to my ears and my eyes as well. So I don't know if you could see music, but in this way, I see music. And I want to say to you, Minister, and of course the government and the Prime Minister, I mean, community couldn't be. That's
No, the residents clapping.
Oh, well, I would expect that. I mean, appreciation.
When you walk
Right,
around to talk to them,
Yes,
because
yes.
now, they have to realize, this is not a man that cares.
Of course.
I said just on another video.
Right.
So the people who want to come on the train and say, oh, this is PNM constituency, they vote first, don't talk that foolishness. Don't let Kamla hear you saying that. Kamla Prasad Misesa reminds us that we are the government for the entire country of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why we're making this much effort here to prove that point. Yeah?
And I want to say finally that we are going to be ubiquitous. You know what I mean? We will be omnipresent. You know what I mean? We'll be all over the east-west corridor. And this is just the beginning of many more. We're going to Malik. We're going to Mova. We're going to Silox. We're going to Beaton. Yes. We're going to John.
This is when we say Philip will fix it, and when UNC wins, everybody wins.
This is what we are talking about. My friend, thank you very much.
When UNC wins, everybody wins.
This is what we are talking about. My friend, thank you very much.
Yes, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. I think it was wonderful. I think, it is very heartening. And I want to say to the East Port of Spain once again, the Zoso bill would have put us in an even better position to demand. And don't not to take cognizance of the big truck that is behind there that I just spoke to you about, where there are about 4 of them line up. You couldn't. Nelson Street was disfigured, and of course it was replaced with these huge trucks from Wassa to deal with that issue that would have been over 10 years old, known to people like Scotland, but never addressed. Never addressed. So people, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. See you, of course. Tomorrow is what? Tomorrow is what? Yes, yes, I'm taking my Friday. Tomorrow is Friday, and I will be, of course, in my usual water hole. But don't forget, tomorrow morning, the final program for the week, the ground report, will be on from 6 to 9 on Talk City, TTT, one of the TTT subsidiaries, if you want to pray that, on the TTT network, if you want to say that as well. But we will be on from 6 to 9, and as somebody recommended, I will send this tonight, this video tonight, to Andy, so we could play it on the various platforms as well tomorrow morning on the ground report. Have a wonderful one. God bless. Bye-bye.
Now foundation grassroots, you got to know the truth. If you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where to go. Love the culture, Anthony Selassie, say so.
Long ago,
long time ago.
Yes, long ago. Pirates had their fun in the burning sun. 16 men, and a dead man's chest. Yo, 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 and a bottle of rum.
Summertime. What kind of baby mama she a get chopped? Is it a king? Is it a princess? So you see me generation travel through this trap.
16 men,
16 days,
and a dead man's chest. Yo, yo.